All right, guys and girls, I didn't forget you girls. Welcome to another edition of, wait for it, Richie Rich's retrospective reviews. I'm your host. I am your savior. I am the one who's gonna make sure that you, and of course you mean the Rich team, have the best year, because this year in 2025 is not only my year, it's for every single member of the Rich team. So yes, we are here in February and we're here for another retrospective reviews. And I want to say again, big shout out to the Rich team for following all these reviews. As I said, I have a playlist. Be sure to check out my reviews that I've done for got a number of years now. And also requests. Also, I'm someone who's also, if you have any movie requests that you would like me to review, please drop it down in the comment section. You can also get in touch with me on Instagram or X. I was just about to say Twitter. You can get in touch with me on X, and yeah, I would be definitely down to do any videos that you would like for me to review. For sure. As I said, I am a first-class citizen of the 90s, so it was always nice to review movies from there. But any type of movies, I'm a fan of cinema in general, so for sure, get in touch. This one I'm reviewing today was in fact a request. I got a request from a subscriber to review this movie we're going to look at today called I Got the Hookup, which came out in 1998. And so I want to say thank you for getting in touch with me. And as I said, anyone who wants me to do any reviews, please get in touch swiftly when you get the chance. So I Got the Hookup, which came out in 1998, is you could say pretty much like a comedy crime film, heavily influenced, of course, by the Friday film that came out 3 years before this, which a lot of characters who appeared in the Friday film are appear inside there, even very similar to how they were portrayed in the 1995 classic Friday film. So I Got the Hookup pretty much is a story of Master P and AJ Johnson's character, which I believe is Black and Blue. These petty criminal doers who are selling like televisions and boom boxes. Like back in the 90s, they used to be a big thing. So they were selling them pretty much like out of the back of their car. And what happens is, like by mistake, they get this delivery of these cell phones. And once they get this delivery in, they start selling it to their neighborhood. So all the ones in the area, I'm not sure where the location is, but all the ones in the block, in the hood, they're selling these phones and they get a lot of revenue from it. So that's pretty much the synopsis. I'm going to go more into detail later, but as I always do with my reviews, I always like to talk about the history. So again, it was really a subscriber, a loyal member of my team, who got in touch with me and said to review this film. And so I watched this film soon after. This was last year, and I watched it just again, just to prepare for this review. I first watched it last year. My first impression was that this is just a time waster film. I just was like, what the heck is this? I felt this film is so disjointed. There's no congruent story. These characters that are just coming in and there, it just doesn't make sense. You see midgets on the bed and police coming in. It just doesn't have any coherent story. So that was my first impression, and I just said I put this movie like the same level as House Party 3. And if you've seen that review, you know I haven't got the best words to say about that film. I felt those vibes of House Party 3 whilst watching this movie. So I then watched it again only a couple days ago, And not saying so much I appreciate more, it's like I really know what this film is. And it's, as I said it the first time, it's it's one of this is so bad, it's so good type of movies. This movie is not supposed to make sense. It's not supposed to that you take anything away from it after. There's no messages, there's no real plot. This was just Master P who got money from Dimension. This was just Master P who got money from Dimension Films, and they said, make the film that you want. And yes, 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 Master P made his own film with it, with the backing of Dimensions. And what you get is just like an hour and 30 minutes of just crazy scenes that are put together. It doesn't. The thing is that with the film is it just doesn't make any sense. Like there's times I would watch the film and I would leave it for a minute just to go do something else. I would come back and it's like you wouldn't even have to rewind it to say like, oh, I missed this part of the story, it's interesting. You don't have to do that because there really is no story. And of course the movie, of course, because it is again influenced by Friday, there's a lot of the you could say, of course, the stereotypical black characters you find in the neighborhood, on the block. There's jokes about sexuality, there's transvestites, there's prostitutes, there's the aggressive, angry black woman. That was a staple of like films, not even back then, but even now. So you have a lot of characters of black people in this film. And yeah, so that was the first time I saw it. I said the first time I saw it was last year, then I watched it again this year. My thoughts didn't really change too much. I just sort of enjoyed it like a little bit more now because I was like, I know this film is a piece of garbage, so let me just enjoy it. Like, don't take anything seriously from this film. So going on to the cast. So playing the main two, let's say, because it's a duo, which is kind of nice. As I said, he got a lot of vibes from Chris Tucker and Ice Cube, Craig and Smokey in Friday. So you have Master P who's playing Black. He's the one. He's a hustler. They were selling the boom boxes. The vision says any of those devices, electrical devices, they were selling it, hustling. Master B in this is again. I've listened to some of his music. He's pretty good. Again, acting style, I haven't seen him in too much stuff before. But he's pretty much plays himself. He's pretty chilled. He's away. He has a way with ladies. Pretty smooth. One who has a lot of confidence in himself. So seeing Master P in the role, I think for what he does, he does well. Like I said, if this is like his first acting role, he's been in other stuff. I mean, it's not such a bad performance. So he does pretty well. Playing alongside Master P is Anthony Johnson, Blue. Of course, Anthony Johnson, will know him best from Friday. When he was playing the crackhead, it was bothering Smokey and Craig through that whole long day in Friday. In this role, he's pretty much is similar in some ways. He's still very like the short man, annoying. He's always trying to get some and he doesn't get it. It's like you could say in some ways like the lackey to Master P. No one really takes him serious because he's so loud, he's small, doesn't really make like the best decisions on there. But to be honest, as much as I love Friday, I believe, of course, because his role is bigger in here, I really love Anthony Johnson in this more than, of course, the small scenes in Friday. He is probably the highlight of this film. It's like the director of this film is Michael Martin, who I really don't know too much films he had directed before. I'll probably put the IMDb just about here. Yeah, Michael Martin directed it, and to be honest, someone who doesn't really know his directing ability or any of his films he's done before, I would say the cinematography is pretty well. Like, you have that grain type of filter that you felt from the Friday movies of it's the hood, it's a hot summer day, and you just feel it. You just feel like the setting. Again, I'm not sure where the location is in here. Could be near East Coast, most likely. I probably will find that and put that in the edits right here. But you get that vibe that you get from Friday. And as I said, AJ Johnson and Master P working as a duo are possibly the highlights of this film. So of course, speaking as I said, this film connects a lot to Friday. You got John Witherspoon playing Mr. M. So John Witherspoon, the late great legendary John Witherspoon. His appearance is more shorter in this because the funny thing is John Witherspoon, especially after Friday, he had a lot of, you could say, maybe cameo roles. He was in Boomerang. I remember he appeared in Woo, and he also played in Ride, which I know a lot of people are not going to know about that. But there was a lot of movies after the Friday series, like you could say in between the Friday series, he had these just cameo roles because John Witherspoon just has that. He has that natural comedy style, which is that Papa Don't Take No Mess type of humor. And I really like that. I mean, the closest I compare him to is, of course, Uncle Elroy, who appeared in Next Friday and Friday After Next. That humor of like the more mature guy still trying to get the ladies, and he uses his signature phrase in this, bang, 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 when he's getting down with Cheryl Underwood, who also appears in this on there. So John Witherspoon, even for his like small role in this, is pretty great. Of course, you got Tony Lister, Debo, and so Tom Lister, he is pretty. If you just picture Debo in this, with now he's wearing like better, he's got like a much better fashion sense. He's wearing slacks. He's wearing Calvin Klein. He's way more like dapper than he appeared in Friday. It's the essence of the same character, a bully. Yo, there is one funny scene I love in this movie. So picture this. It's when AJ Johnson basically says we need to get some people, because what happens, they're getting a lot of deliveries. Once these cell phones come in, they hit pretty big, and everyone in the blog now wants to get the hookup. So they actually need someone else who can help to sell these phones like on the street corners. So AJ Johnson, Blue, he recruits his cousin. It's this like fat, like obese cousin, still lives at home with his mommy. So he recruits him and he starts going to work. He starts selling on the corner. Of course, the shipment that was given to them was by mistake. The crime bosses, who the original cell phones should have gone to them, Tony Lister, he's actually working with them. So there's that scene where Tom Lister, T-Lay, he's coming through and he sees that overweight Blue's cousin. And once he's trying to sell phones and like T-Lay actually knows what's going on, he actually tells him to slap himself. And he does it in that menacing, intimidating way. He just looks at him like, why would you say something stupid like that? Slap yourself. Slap yourself. And he starts slapping himself like this. Yo. That moment was hysterical, really, just because I remember how menacing and how intimidating Debo was in the first one, Tom Lister, and for just to see him back here, and this is why sometimes I can't rag on this movie too much, as trash as it is, just seeing scenes like that, and there are multiple scenes like this when you actually reminisce from the good moments of Friday, and that's definitely my favorite scene when he was slapping him as he was pulling up on his ride and he drove up. It was hysterical. I'd say the last main characters you got the one who's playing, you could say, the love interest, Gretchen Palmer, Lorraine. She plays Lorraine. So this is pretty much again, I don't know how other people feel about it. Like, she's basically like love interest, meant to be like the Ebony Candy. Like, this is meant to be the superfine sister from this movie. I don't know if it's just me, but like I've seen Gretchen Palmer in a lot of other sitcoms. I know she appeared in Malcolm and Eddie, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I believe she appeared in Slim and Single. She was definitely jumping from sitcom to sitcom. I don't think she ever had a main role in TV or movies besides this. I don't know what it is, just for me particularly, I never found her like that like attractive. You know, like not even just in the looks, but just in the whole energy. Like I said, like for example, I know that Sally Richardson, so another film I would love to review someday, Low Down Dirty Shame with Sally Richardson. Like, that woman is fine. Like that is a woman you could say, like I could see the like the attraction and the appeal to that. But with Gretchen Palmer, I look at this like this is just a woman who could just be working in a bank, who would just be like, I mean, she's hot. Maybe on a Tuesday night I could give her some, but is it really worth it? So I just didn't feel she was that like when you see like Sally Richardson or you see like even Jada Pinkett, who I can't stand. I thought she was at least hot in like Jason Lyric or something, or of course the great Halle Berry. So I mean Nia Long, of course Sine Lathan. I just feel there was other hot black actresses more than her. But I mean, for the role she does in this, she's just someone who's very fixated on black masterpiece character. She's a freak. Okay, super freak. Is horny all the time, and yeah, I mean, she's again, she actually is working in the bank, and she loses her job, and basically again, she's kind of like the accomplice, like with Blue and Black. So she basically helps them kind of like get through and like not get arrested, because what happens is the FBI is actually on their ass too. So you got the crime bosses who are trying to get their shipment back, and the FBI, the criminal investigators, are trying to get them arrested. So they have like undercover cops they send into the block also. So it's like and that's again a positive, I would say, of this movie. Of course, Ice Cube actually appears in I believe just in a cameo of this. He basically does business with like Black and Blue. I believe it's exchanged for some weapons, or if it's the car or it's a vehicle, before the actual climactic ending scene. So they actually go to do like business, and it's pretty much Ice Cube saying himself. Even so much that Blue makes a reference that you Ice Cube looking motherfucker. He's talking and yapping for the whole movie. When I saw Ice Cube appear in this, in some ways, because I'm such a big fan of Friday, I would have loved if he appeared in this a little longer. Yeah, even for the cameo we got with him was fine, but it would have been really nice if we had got more appearances from him in this film. This is one of those films, like the story is a very difficult to describe, because it's not like it's very disjointed. That's what I'm telling you. The movie, like I said, when the movie starts off, pretty much it starts in the block, and basically these two hustlers, Blue and Black, they're selling the electrical devices from the stores, and of course they meet Cheryl Underwood's character and Tangi Ambrose, the two black stereotypical angry black women, and they basically like are ragging them, especially ragging Blue about how sure he is, how he doesn't get any, all of this. And I believe they made a bad business transaction, so they're out for them. And as the story progresses, as you say, you see a lot of scenes with Lorraine trying to get some with Black. And then basically, of course, as I said, the FBI gets involved. So once the shipment comes in, as I said, there's a part of the movie where things are really going well for them. They're making money. They're able to recruit more people. As I said, they're selling these cell phones. They're hooking up all these people on the block. When the like you say, the law get involved. I remember, because I didn't mention him, Anthony Bozo, who plays Little Brother. He's another accomplice to Blue and Black. This scene I never really got, and I don't know if it was meant to be funny or just very strange, but he basically gets arrested by the law, and he gets put into the interrogation room, and you got these two white police officers who are basically interrogating Little Brother, Anthony Boswell. They're interrogating him, and then he's like, I'm not a snitch, blah blah blah. I'm not saying nothing. I'm not saying shit. Then moments after, the two white police officers, one of them goes to really like say, you're gonna talk, and he starts grabbing his face. He takes it, and he has a mask, and he was a black guy. And then they remove the mask of the other bureau agent, and it turns out he was a black guy too. So it was two black guys who were interrogating him, and he's out of complete shock. He goes to the wall which is strange. He clashes onto the wall and then he passes out, which is the most fake ass pass out I've ever seen. And I remember the black guys just go away, and I was looking at it, I was like, I didn't know, was this supposed to be funny or were they just trying to cause some shock from the movie? I didn't get it. I was just looking at it and saying, what the fuck is this on there? So yeah, so I mean, throughout the movie, of course, like Tom Lister is again pestering Blue and Black. He keeps sending his boys. They actually have a crazy scene near the end where I believe all of them are fighting. Like Master P, Black is fighting T-Lay. He loses. Then I think Blue comes in and he has the baseball bat. He does this black ninja skills, and then I'm just like, what the fuck is this movie? And then the movie ends in a climatic scene. I don't really say climatic scene, but they're pretty much on this, like, you could say, top of like a mountain or this construction site. And basically once they got Blue and Black, they got them up the ropes, they asked for this last like bun, like this last like joint to smoke. And once they smoked the joint, they got the henchman. They're actually able to kind of outwit that henchman and, like, get the best of him. And they actually push the there's this cubicle where T-Lay even said he needed to take a dump. Tom Lister needed to take a dump. They actually able to push the cubicle like down this steep hill where they were on the top. And pretty much after, like, once that's done and they head back to the block. And even the federal investigation unit weren't able to pin anything on them. They were able to get away with it. And yeah, and nothing really happened. And I'm doing my best even now to describe this movie, because in some ways I'm kind of like, I feel like I have to be stoned to even give a proper synopsis about this film. But that's pretty much the what I got the hookup is. Alright, so before I give my final thoughts, of course, I got to talk about the soundtrack. Probably I would say one of the, if maybe positives, only positives from the film is I thought the soundtrack is pretty stellar. I'm not someone who's listened to that as I've listened to, of course, the Friday soundtrack, but you get a lot of themes and a lot of audios that are very similar to what you heard in Friday. But the music in this is a lot of the, I could say, definitely more inspired, more in the zone of, like, let's say, more of the gangster music, which was definitely more popular in the mid 90s towards the late 90s. And for this film, because again, this film is not as a gangster film, but it's still, I still would classify it as a hood film in a way, just more of the comedy film. This is just a Friday film that possibly happened on Tuesday, and instead they didn't want to make it so similar. They said, I got the hookup. I could imagine Master P saw Friday and said, like, I want to get more, I want to do something like this. And that's where the music that you hear from that, in some shape or form, is similar to the music you're seeing in this. As bad as this movie is, the music actually, the soundtrack actually did well. It was on the it was number 3 on the Billboard. It ranked number 3 on the Billboard charts in the late 90s. And this was the power of the movies back then. Even if the movie could be utter trash, they put so much energy to making such a kick-ass soundtrack that you could still listen to, even if the movie wasn't that great. But it did well. It did well in the Billboard charts, and even still to this day on the hot R&B tracks. And I haven't listened to it, as I said, because I'm very new to this film, but I would love to. I'm definitely possibly gonna cop that CD, because as we know, Richie Rich needs to get that hookup. I know thoughts and I got the hookup. As I said, when you've seen, especially for someone who is in this, that of course we know these actors more bigger now, and again, some of us have left, but it is nice seeing, of course, Cheryl Underwood. Like, this is probably her earlier roles, or seeing the late great John Witherspoon, Ice Cube, AJ Johnson, who again, a lot of the actors appeared in Friday. So it is nice it's like I said, not as an all-star cast as you've seen in maybe House Party or Friday or even Boomerang, but it's still some significant actors that we know and are still beloved to this day. The film got a sequel in 2018. As I said, I've only watched the trailer, so don't even think if I'm gonna review that, especially when I couldn't even get through this film. But that film came out in 2018, so almost like, again, maybe 20 years after the first one. And I always feel it's a bad move when you do a movie that long distance away, but whatever, right? So in the negatives, as I said, with this film is the story is just not coherent. The movie switches from scene to scene to scene, and it just doesn't make sense. I mentioned earlier, there is a scene of these midgets on this bed, that this black midget and this short person, I forget now, I'm in 2025, this short person and the white one, interracial short people, getting down in the bed, and the cops come in to arrest them, and they're dressed up in a very kinky type of way, and I just didn't get how that scene even got in the film on there. Were they trying to parody Friday, where if you remember, Bernie Mac was getting with Miss Parker, and Miss Parker married the small person, the small dude. So I don't know if that was married to tie in with that. I don't know, but this movie is notorious from going to scene to scene to scene, and it just has no sense. There's no sometimes backstory, and sometimes it's just like, where did this go? It's nice, as I said, AJ Johnson and Master P for their roles is cool. I feel pretty much they're just playing themselves. Cool. I think they were trying to do kind of what Friday did, of like having Craig, who was more straight and cool, and you had Smokey, who was the talker and making a lot of nonsense. So they tried to mirror those roles with the respective protagonist in this. Of course, it just doesn't work that well because, of course, I mean, Ice Cube and Chris Tucker are on another level, and that movie is on a complete another level. I feel what it is, the bottom line is, I believe Master P saw Friday and he said he wants to make his version of it, but I don't think they actually had an actual coherent story to actually get there, because I'm even surprised this film got a sequel, because it's it generally, because I've seen people even talk about this even before like I was going to do my review. They said it's just pretty much just a time waster. If you're gonna watch this film for AJ Johnson, if there's fans of him, for sure watch it. If you're a fan of Master P, go ahead. It's just not a film you can really, I don't think there's any real rewatchability, because even now when I tell you the story, even on Wikipedia, when I check the story, it's maybe like the synopsis of the film, it's like only one paragraph, maybe even 4 sentences. There's not really too much that you can take away or elaborate about this film. I think the soundtrack is possibly one of the positives on this. I do love, of course, the characters from Friday, like seeing Ice Cube again, John Witherspoon, Tony Lister in here. Negatives really outweigh the positives. I really just say it's just a time waster. There are other better films who are more comedic, and even recommend CB4. Even that's a film that I don't really like, with Chris Rock and Alan Payne, that came out in 1994. I cannot even stand that film. But I would rather watch that than this. Like, this is just like, it's meaningless. If I tell you the film is a meaningless film of someone who just saw Friday and said, let's make something like that. If you have watched it, let me know what you think about it. If you have watched the second one, because I've even heard from sources, yes, my rich team is out there, that the second one is even worse than this. And I'm like, how can you be more worse than shit? I don't know, but folks, leave your comments for I Got the Hookup. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Let me know what you heard of. Let me know what you think about Master P and Anthony Johnson in the lead roles. Definitely request any movies that you want to see in the foreseeable future. And for sure, remember that, folks, this is not only my year, this is your year. And we got to do everything we can to make sure that all our dreams come a reality. And the best thing you could do, and I haven't said this a long time, right now is February the 6th, 2025. What are you waiting for, folks? Get your paper right and update your wallet. And Richie Rich is out.